Welcome to This Is Reviewable. Micah and Braden. What are we talking about this week, Braden?
So it is Christmas time, but I think we're gonna talk about a Christmas movie next week. We didn't get one this week. Instead, we saw a new movie from this year, from 2024. What the fuck?
Hmm.
Door please now, early morning futsal. So I'm in this futsal group.
No, you don't need to.
No, this is a fun little non sequitur. Is that what a non sequitur is actually? It's definitely an anecdote. Let me just look up real quick what a non sequitur means. A conclusion or statement that does not logically follow from the previous argument or statement. Okay, got it. Anyways, this is an anecdote, but basically I'm part of a futsal group that plays really early in the morning. And at time of recording, it is 4:02 p.m. on a Sunday, by the way, which is important because we play in a church. And guess what happens at a church on Sunday?
Let me guess. Wait, let me guess.
Yeah,
Church.
that's right. Church happens, so there's no playing on Sunday, and there's certainly no playing early morning futsal at 4:02 p.m. So I don't know. And this guy texts into our group and says, "Door, please."
Like, come open the front door.
Which, yeah, huh? Anyways, we're talking today about Juror number 2 first, which is the new movie directed by Clint Eastwood, starring Nicholas Hoult, J.K. Simmons a little bit, and Toni Collette. Those
and
are
Zoe.
Zoe Deutsch. I actually don't know who that is, but those are the main. Those are the main people that you'll
You
know.
got Chris Messina.
Sorry, yeah. Chris Messina is another lawyer. He was in Air. That's what we recognized him from. Also a lawyer in Air.
Mm-hmm.
But this movie is about. It's a legal drama slash suspense thriller. Not really a suspense thriller, more of a thriller.
Mystery.
Not really a mystery either. It's just a legal thriller, legal drama. About Nicholas Hoult has a wife and they're about to give birth to a baby and they've tried before, and she's in the third trimester of her pregnancy.
Of a very high risk.
High risk pregnancy, and he gets called into jury duty and gets selected for the jury
For a murder trial.
Yeah, and
This is what it says online.
let's not spoil anything.
This is what it says online for the overview. A juror for a high-profile murder trial finds himself struggling with a serious moral dilemma that could influence the verdict and potentially convict or free the accused killer.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Yeah. And we're not really going to talk about specifics
of his moral dilemma.
Yeah.
Until spoilers.
But that's what it's about. And I was excited to watch this because I love a good legal drama.
Yeah.
I like Nicholas Hoult a lot. I think he's really quite a great actor.
Well, and J.K. Simmons.
And Toni Collette.
Yeah.
They're all really good. I think that this was just okay.
Yeah. To be completely honest, I think it was kind of hard to... But I think it was also kind of hard to connect with the topic.
What do you mean?
For some reason.
For you?
Yeah. But, I definitely felt conflicted about it.
Yeah.
The whole movie, the dilemma. But...
Okay, here's what I think kind of started to pull me out of the movie. So, the court dramas that I love, and Only a Few Good Men is coming to mind right now, but I know that I have really enjoyed other ones too. The Lincoln Lawyer, that's another one I really enjoyed. But what those two have in common is the writing is really sharp, and there's just something about it that I like. How fast it is, how realistic it feels. Once the jury starts deliberating, some of the jurors are just like total twats, like right off the bat. And I'm like, I don't buy that that's actually how a bunch of jurors are going to be talking to each other 1 hour into deliberation.
Well, openly talking about their biases.
Yeah. And just like being accusatory towards, because Nicholas Hoult is the holdout. Everybody wants to convict except for Nicholas Hoult at the beginning. And they're immediately jumping down his throat.
Yeah.
Just being aggressive, ad hominem attacks. I'm just not. I didn't really like that. I didn't. Oh yeah, Fracture. That's another one I really enjoyed.
Sorry, yeah, let me just name off some famous.
Anatomy of a Fall, I loved.
Wait.
Okay.
Some famous. This is the top legal drama movie picks. So there's The Verdict, I never saw. Anatomy of a Fall, we
Wait,
talked about.
Go back. Michael
Oh,
Clayton.
I don't think I watched that.
Oh, you didn't watch that?
No.
Michael Clayton's really good too.
Okay. The Rainmaker, Just
Which I
Mercy,
like.
Trial of the Chicago Seven.
I didn't love that one.
Okay. Philadelphia, Lincoln Lawyer,
Like it a lot.
The Judge, Fracture,
Like that one a lot too.
Dark Waters, To Kill a Mockingbird. I don't think we've ever seen the movie, but we
No.
both love the book.
Yeah.
Um,
Runaway Jury, I've seen. That one's
A
okay.
Time to Kill.
That one's okay.
Really?
Yeah, I don't love that one either.
Oh.
A Few Good Men though,
Yeah.
is top. Primal Fear.
Primal Fear.
That one's awesome.
Yeah, that one's great.
So this is a genre.
12 Angry Men.
I love 12 Angry Men. My Cousin Vinny, I love as well.
Yeah.
There's a ton of good ones.
Yeah, there are a lot of good ones.
Bridge of Spies is excellent too. If you haven't seen that one, I recommend watching that. That's really good. But like they all feel smartly, sharply written, and when the jury is deliberating at the beginning, I just wasn't loving it, and it started to kind of pull me out of it a little bit. And yeah, that's where it started for me.
Something that kind of bothered me in the very beginning. So, what's his character's name?
I don't remember.
Justin. So Nicholas Holt's character's name is Justin, and they're going through the jury selection, and him and his wife are like, "You should just act crazy so you can get out of it." And during the selection, the judge is like, "Is anyone have a reason why they can't be here?" And he raises his hand and he says, "My wife is in the third trimester of a high risk pregnancy, and I need to be ready to go home in case anything happens."
Yeah.
And she's like, "Well, do you work? What hours do you work?" "Okay, well, these will be the same hours, so it shouldn't be a problem." That bothered me because if he's at work, she can call him and he can leave work early. If he's a juror, he's not allowed to have his phone in the room.
Yeah.
He can't go home early in the middle of the day.
Yeah. But he was chosen.
I know, it just bothered me that the judge said that because it just doesn't sound. I don't know. I understand why they did it because they needed him to be in there, but it just kind of bothered me.
Yeah. Flipping to a positive though, the moral dilemma is, I thought, very dilemma-y. Like, that would be the thing that he has to choose is a very tough choice, and I liked that. As soon as that actually gets revealed pretty early on into the movie, and I remember when it gets revealed, my jaw was like, it kind of dropped. I was like,
it's like an oh shit.
Oh, that's a tough decision he has to make. So I think that the core of this movie is really interesting. I think maybe that reveal happens too early and the movie drags on a little bit too long afterwards.
I think my issue with it dragging on is more that it felt like the trial was very short and deliberation felt very long. And I understand
that's the point.
That that's what needed to happen, but I like the trial part better.
Well, you haven't seen 12 Angry Men.
Okay.
Because this is basically 12 Angry Men with a twist. Because in 12 Angry Men, the entire movie is in the jurors' deliberation room. And it's really, really good. This is not as good as 12 Angry Men. Let's just get that out of the way.
I think it also, I wrote down stereotype much.
Okay.
Because I just feel like they leaned into some of these stereotypes too much.
What stereotypes?
When they were going through the jury selection and the defense attorney asks the black guy, "Have you ever been in an abusive relationship?" or something like that.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Are you going to ask everybody that?" That's a fair question for the black guy to say. Are you going to ask everybody that?
Okay, yeah.
And not just him, but like the other people of color or people that were not white. I felt like they leaned into those stereotypes, and even the white people probably they leaned. I just felt like I
didn't really notice that too much, to be honest. But I mean,
that was a bad example of I don't know.
No, I do remember that part though. Yeah, you're right about that. There are things that I really like about it though. a couple scenes where they use color and shadow in an interesting way that I like, and I don't want to talk about it too much because I think it's spoilery. I think that Toni Collette's kind of wasted in this role. She doesn't really have much to do. The lawyer.
I know, but why do you think that?
She doesn't really have anything to do. Like the trial is very short. They just need to introduce what the trial is, just like they do in 12 Angry Men, because the bulk of this movie is about the deliberation.
Mm-hmm.
So Toni Collette doesn't do much. She gives her opening arguments. You see like a montage of them cross-examining witnesses and that kind of thing. They give their closing arguments, and then they kind of like find any excuse to use her throughout the movie sporadically.
Hmm.
But she's like the scenes she's in are very short.
So you didn't feel like she had time to shine?
No, not really. Like this, it didn't need to be her, and I'm happy that it's her because I like her, but I wish that she'd gotten a little bit more play. Same thing with J.K. Simmons.
Yeah, J.K. Simmons is barely in it.
Yeah, he's not.
I was very disappointed by that.
That which is unfortunate.
I think he does a really good job of what he's in,
Yeah.
the parts that he's in. But
Nicholas Hoult is great.
yeah,
He's really good. He impresses me every time I watch him. The Menu.
yeah.
This. He's in a ton of stuff. I don't know why more stuff is not coming to mind. Help me out here, please. Mad Max Fury Road.
He is?
Yeah, he's the war boy that joins their side.
Oh.
Oh, he's in The Order, the Jude Law one.
Oh.
I want to watch that. Oh, he's
X-Men.
in the new X-Men movies. This? Guess who directed that?
Favorite or Single Man?
A Single Man.
Who?
Open it up real quick. Look at the scores. Look at the score.
86.
And then IMDb is what? 7.5?
Yeah.
Guess who directed
Tom
this?
Ford?
Isn't that crazy?
Has he ever directed before?
This, and he also directed Nocturnal Animals.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
crazy. Braden has decided that he really likes Tom Ford.
He's just such a cool guy.
He is a very well-known
Designer.
fashion designer.
Well,
And Braden found these clips of him online where apparently he had a TV show for a while where he would...
I don't think it was a TV show. I think they were produced for YouTube.
Oh, okay. But it's basically like a super nice version of what not to wear, but just the makeover part. So they don't...
Sure.
And he's very kind. Like, Braden sent me these clips of him, and he's so kind.
But it's so cool to like see him, because people will come in and
with
they
what they
look,
normally wear.
They just look like everyday Joes on the street, and he's like, how do I take their identity?
But he's so kind
and
about
upgrade it, like to be the best version that they can be.
Yeah, and he
of themselves.
Does a great job of like compliment sandwiches.
Well, and they all look amazing when he's done
at
with
the
them.
end. Yeah,
and I'm
like straight up models.
I'm like, holy shit, this guy's good.
Yeah,
and he's just like so cool.
Yeah, Braden just today was like, wouldn't it be so cool if Tom Ford gave us a makeover?
Right. just told us how to cut our hair, like what colors we should be go best with our complexions and all that. It would just be cool. Anyway, yeah. That's why Micah went, Tom Ford, because he's been on our minds recently.
Yeah.
What was the point of you looking stuff up again? Oh yeah, Nicholas Hoult. Nicholas Hoult like has moments where he needs to be emotional in this movie.
He has really good range.
He's so good at that, at selling it. Anyway, he's great in this movie. Freaking Kiefer Sutherland is in it too. He's kind of the director of the AA group that Nicholas Holt's character goes to.
That's a sponsor.
And he also happens to be a lawyer, so Nicholas Hoult goes to him with his ethical dilemma because, Kiefer Sutherland, being an expert in the law, is able to give him guidance a little bit. I really liked him. I wished also that he was in the movie a little more. I've always been a fan of him.
I really liked the way that they edited closing arguments.
Okay.
Because, what is her name? Toni Collette would start talking in hers, and then they would jump over to the defense attorney, Chris Messina, and he would be giving the rebuttal to that. And then they cut back over and back and forth. And so it was basically like them having a conversation through closing arguments.
Yeah.
And you didn't have to keep track of this whole monologue that Toni Collette gave and then the rebuttal.
Yeah.
The way it was edited was like a conversation, and I really liked that.
Yeah. That reminds me, I mentioned this to you while we were watching it, but so the trial is a murder trial. That's not really giving anything away. But when they are going through the accounts of the eyewitnesses that saw the events that might or might not have led to this quote unquote murder.
When they're working their way timeline wise through the night and they're talking to people.
Yeah. Little details about the scene change. Like it flashes back to the scene and the actors act out the scene as the voiceover is happening of whatever witness is on the stand.
Mm-hmm.
But every witness details change a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's not obvious. You just kind of have to notice, like,
remember what the
wait a second, that's not what he did in the last clip, and that wasn't there in the last clip.
Yeah.
I really liked that because it is subtly showing the fragility of the human memory,
mm-hmm.
right? Or how, or maybe just different perspectives, how we all see things differently, and
have attention to detail to different things.
Yeah, that was really good. I mean,
but like overall, the night was the same.
Yeah,
it was just like small things were different.
There's touches like that all throughout this movie that are really great. I think for me the big problem is that the writing that I talked about. I really hated how quickly the jurors were at each other's throats. I wish that there would have been more of a buildup, a ratcheting up of tension, and then they can have explosions. Like you don't explosions that happen within the first 30 minutes of the movie are unearned.
Yeah.
Because these jurors have spent almost no time together. So that kind of really took me out of it a little bit. And then I think the twist being revealed so early, this movie sort of loses steam as it draws towards its conclusion. And then the conclusion itself, I wasn't a fan of.
The very end?
Yeah.
I agree. The very end of the movie, I felt like they wanted to leave it up to your interpretation, but I didn't feel like they gave you enough to go on.
I don't really think it was up to interpretation.
Really?
I think we know what's going to happen at the end of that movie, but there's something that is so unsatisfying about there not being maybe another scene or two on top of that.
Or one line from
someone.
Yeah.
We're dancing around around plot points, obviously, you can tell. So I think maybe we should rate it, unless you have something else.
I don't understand why they put the defendant on the stand.
Because his attorney felt that his testimony was could win jurors over.
But it also gives a lot of opportunity for the cross examination. And, he's not going to plead the fifth because that makes him look guilty.
But
I think that you don't normally do that, though, from what I understand of other movies and shows that I've watched.
If you really believe your client is innocent, I think you do.
But it also just leaves so much room for...
Yeah, but he convinced his defense attorney that he is innocent. If the defense attorney believes he's innocent, he's probably thinking in his mind, well, I'm a lawyer. I think like a cross-examiner. I believe him. I'm putting him up there because I think he's got a shot at, there's pathos, logos, ethos.
Yeah.
He's got a shot at winning the jury's pathos through pathos.
Which one is that one?
Empathy, sentiment, emotion, and logos is logic, and ethos is ethics. But yeah, that I didn't really have a problem with
I just didn't agree with that
because he does a great job. That actor that plays the
defendant,
the man who's on trial, the defendant, he does a good job.
Gabriel Basso.
Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, I think this is another example of a director that his best work is definitely years behind him, which is sad because I really do enjoy his best work. I love Mystic River. We both really enjoyed Million Dollar Baby. American Sniper is good. Unforgiven is really good. Clint Eastwood can direct, but his more recent films I feel like are also Gran Torino, that's another one I liked a lot. But what was that one we watched with the airplane? Sully, I thought that was not very good. This one I thought was just kind of okay. He just feels like again, his best work is behind him, and that's sad to say. Invictus, sort of the same thing. It has moments, but it's not amazing. So I'm gonna give this. I think I'd give it like a 6.5, maybe. It's worth watching. I just don't think you don't need to break your back getting to a theater to go watch this. Wait for it to come onto streaming. You're gonna be fine. Maybe you'll enjoy it a little bit more. But yeah, it's a 6.5. Very blue Nicholas Holt eyes out of 10.
Oh my gosh, yeah. His
Yeah,
eyes are so blue.
it's like Daniel Craig.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think I'm gonna rate this a 6.5 also. I don't think I'll ever rewatch this,
yeah. There's better ones.
but I definitely enjoyed certain aspects of it, and then there were
Yeah,
things that I just really didn't like. Um,
it's not bad though. Like
no,
it is positive
it's
because
overall a good movie.
yeah, it's
I would
just
still recommend it.
it's just like when you see the Rotten Tomatoes scores, and I know we talk about that too much. I know we do, but when you see like a 92 and a 92 or whatever it is for audience, you're like, oh, this has got a pretty good shot of being great. And then you see the cast. Oh, wow, this has a good shot of getting great. Oh, Clint Eastwood's directing it. Wow, I'm in now. Oh, it's a courtroom drama. I love courtroom dramas. So I think like that sort of cocktail of ingredients was making me, it was setting my expectations too high. And this just is not as good as A Few Good Men or 12 Angry Men or The Lincoln Lawyer for me. Uh, I think those are all better.
I think I'm gonna rate this a 6.5. I wish there was more J.K. Simmons.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you wish you could have been his character in Whiplash as the juror?
his character from Whiplash just translated
Right.
into.
You're rushing your closing arguments. You're dragging your closing arguments.
Okay, spoilers ahead. The moral dilemma of this is that as the case starts getting tried, Justin, what's his name?
Nicholas Holt's character.
Nicholas Holt's character, Justin, realizes he accidentally killed the girl that
Yeah.
this guy is on trial for.
Because he was driving home and it was very rainy and very dark, and she was walking
On a super narrow road
along the side, and he hit something, but he didn't see what it was, and he got out to check and didn't see anything.
because she'd gone over the guardrail into the river, into the creek, and it was so dark and so rainy he couldn't see anything, and so he thought,
It was just a deer.
I hit a deer.
Because there's a deer crossing sign.
Yeah.
And he only finds out once he becomes a juror on this trial.
Yeah.
So and then he's like, "Oh my gosh. Yikes."
Yeah. And so when they go back to deliberate, that's why he is the only one saying this guy is innocent.
Yeah.
Because he knows for a fact this guy is innocent.
Yeah, it was him.
And then as the trial keeps going on, he's like, well, I need to protect myself because I'm going to have a new baby and my wife needs me to take care of her and the new baby and all of that.
And
so he goes, what?
He talks to his AA guy.
Well, yeah. He goes and talks to his sponsor, who's the lawyer, and he says, what do I do? And the lawyer is basically, you need to convict this guy to save yourself, right?
No, you need a decision. Because he says, the lawyer says, if you turn yourself in now with your prior alcoholism, the fact that, because Nicholas Holt, before getting in that car, was at a bar, because that night he and his wife had a miscarriage.
It wasn't that night. It was
a year anniversary or something.
It was the due date of their kids that had
a miscarriage.
Yeah, from a miscarriage. And so he had gone to the bar because he was having a really bad day. He ordered a drink and he said he didn't drink it. And then he gets in the car and, the lawyer is like, nobody's going to believe you that you didn't drink that.
Yeah.
And it was so long ago you can't get tested.
But you have almost no chance. They're going to convict you of
first degree or
no, it wouldn't be.
It was involuntary manslaughter.
With like, which it holds like a 30 to life sentence, basically, is what the guy says. He's like, so you need a decision. You either need to acquit him or convict him. You can't mistrial because that's not going to help. Like, you need a decision. I can't remember why the trial can't happen later. I think because at this point, Nicholas Holt wants to not convict the guy,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, well, then you need to convince everybody to acquit. That's your only shot, because if it's a mistrial, the state can decide to prosecute again, or the DA, whoever is prosecuting the case, can decide to prosecute again. And at that point, you're right back where you started, and he's probably going to get convicted with a different jury
Mm-hmm.
because you were the only holdout, and it's only because you know that you did it. So if he gets a fresh 12 people, how big is a jury? Is it 12?
12.
Yeah. All right, 12 angry men. If you get a fresh 12 people that have no tie to this case, they're going to convict him. So you need to get him acquitted. So that's what he's trying to do the whole time, is get him acquitted. And then there's another little twist at the end, isn't there?
Yeah.
He decides to let him hang, basically.
Yeah.
He flips his vote, and then they all convict.
And then at some point, J.K. Simmons, who it turns out he's a retired cop, and nobody knew this, starts doing his own research into it because he doesn't think that the kid did it.
Right? He becomes convinced by Nicholas Holt's character and someone else that offers another theory for what happened. And he's like, oh, actually, yeah, hit and run is a real possibility.
So he does his own research. He brings it to Nicholas Holt's character, and they start talking about it. And Nicholas Holt realizes, like, oh shit, like there is a way for me to be caught or whatever. And he somehow gets J.K. Simmons kicked off the jury, and he almost gets kicked off the jury. But he tells the judge, like, no, I didn't look at these, no, whatever. So J.K. Simmons, before he leaves after getting kicked off the jury, tells Tony Collette, the prosecutor, this you got this wrong. You didn't do your research, you didn't, your confirmation bias and all of that. You guys
Mm-hmm.
just wanted it to be this kid, and you found everything to point towards it being him. He's like, this is a hit and run or whatever. So she starts doing her own research and finds out he's right.
Yeah, what J.K. Simmons had found was a list of all of the vehicles within the last year that had
Auto damage that,
body damage that would have been consistent with a hit and run.
right,
And then he narrowed it down to,
like 100 vehicles
how
or
did he do
something.
that again, though?
All the ones that were reported, like, to the cops and had like a case file on it,
Right, could
he
be ruled out.
eliminated.
Yeah. And so that narrowed it down to 100. And then eventually Tony Collette's character is able to whittle it down to Nicholas Holt.
Yeah.
And she figures it out by the end. And the very last scene, well, they have like sort of a talk on a bench after the man is convicted, um, because Nicholas Holt is at that hearing, and then he goes outside, sits on the bench. She finds him, sits on the bench next to him, and they have this sort of veiled conversation where it's quite obvious
That
that
they both know what they're talking about.
they know that each other knows.
Yeah.
And then Nicholas Holt gets up, and then the very last scene of the movie is Nicholas Holt is with his wife and new daughter, and then a knock at the door happens, and there's Tony Collette, and then it ends.
Mm-hmm.
So in my mind, I don't think there's any question that she's gonna his shit up. Like, that's why she's there.
To say you're off, or to
She's there.
say
She's there to get justice
the kid that
for
got,
the girl that was hit. So I think that is where that's going. But I just wish that there was another scene.
or she'd said one line or something. Because, yeah, I guess why would she be there if she wasn't going to?
Yeah, they don't need to get their stories straight. Like, she did nothing wrong. She tried the case as she was supposed to,
Mm-hmm.
according to the knowledge that she had. She can't get in trouble. There's no reason for her to go. I guess I don't know for a fact that she can't get in trouble. I don't know what happens if she goes back to the judge and says there's new information. I don't know if she gets in trouble for investigating the crime
During the trial.
during the trial. Maybe there's an element of that, but I think it's pretty clear she's going there to say, hey, I'm actually not going to let this slide. But yeah, I don't have anything more to say on this movie. Do you?
What would you have done?
What would I have done?
Yeah.
I would
If you were him.
I would have turned myself in, I think.
As soon as you found out.
I don't know about that. I think I probably would have talked with a lawyer first. But yeah, I think eventually I would have done that. Just let the chips fall where they're going to fall. Because, like, I just wouldn't be able to live with myself.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be able to keep that a secret from you
Yeah.
or from the people around me forever. That's what he's going to have to do. That's what he's planning to do. That's just a weight that you don't want. And it's like The Machinist. It's just like The Machinist. That's exactly why
Oh.
that's what would happen to me, I think.
Yeah. You'd have a psychological breakdown.
Yeah.
And build up and break down. Yeah. Yeah. I was kind of surprised that his wife didn't leave him though.
I don't think she found out.
They got into that argument.
I don't think I think that
And the alcohol, him going to a bar.
that's the only truth she got out of him when they had that confrontation.
That's true.
He did not admit that he was the one that hit her.
Yeah.
So I don't think that she knows either. I could be wrong about that. But anyways, yeah. Good movie, not a great movie. Fair?
Yeah.
All right.
Can I share how many books I've read this year, or should I wait for the end of your recap?
Just do the end of the year. Okay, so I've got a couple of things that I need to talk about that have been sitting on the back burner for a while. The first one is Penguin. I watched Penguin season 1. This was really good. I'm going to go through these kind of quicker. So here are my notes. It's so weird that this is Colin Farrell, I wrote down. It's like kind of mind-blowing to think that is Colin Farrell. He does a great job. Him and Kristen Milioti are really great. I've liked Kristen Milioti for a while, ever since I saw her in Palm Springs. Really good.
Oh, with the eyes?
Yeah.
Have you seen the memes where people are like, the casting director is like, give me that guy from In Bruges. And the assistant goes and gets Colin Farrell. They're like, not this guy, the other one.
Mad-Eye Moody for
Yeah.
the Penguin.
Yeah.
Oh, he could have been the Penguin too. He would have been great. Yeah.
So people are, because what's the other movie that's really well known with the both of them?
The new one,
The
Banshees.
Yeah. He's like, no, I wanted the guy from Banshees.
This is the guy from Banshees.
Oh,
the other one.
Yeah.
But I don't think I've ever seen Brendan Gleeson without an Irish accent.
Yeah.
So you'd have to have an Irish Penguin, which
seems weird.
He's been British in the past, just never Irish, always English.
I wonder if he could do it though.
Yeah. Anyway, I also wrote down the Penguin is a rat bastard, Charlie Brown. It's a very competent power vacuum gangster drama because it's in the wake of what happens after the Batman. For those of you that don't remember, because that movie's kind of unmemorable. Taking shots. It's fine if you like it.
Is that the Michael Keaton?
No, it's the
Robert
Pattinson. Okay. I think the Batman's pretty good. I just don't think it's great. I definitely don't think it's better than the Dark Knight. There, you know my thoughts. Anyway, at the end of the Batman,
thank you for sharing your thoughts, Braden.
You're welcome. The city gets flooded, right?
With bad guys?
No, literal water, because he blows up all the retaining walls. So this takes place in the wake of all that. Basically, an entire district of Gotham has been wiped out. The mob boss has died, Carmine Falcone. It's really hard for me to say that word without saying it right, but I'll say it the way that it's pronounced in America. Carmine Falcone has died, and so now there's a power vacuum. The Penguin is trying to work his way into that vacuum and take over. This feels only very marginally attached to a comic book universe, which I think is a good thing, because if you stop to think about where Batman is during all this, then it sort of falls apart, because people are making big moves, blowing up entire city blocks, shooting indiscriminately. Where is Batman? You don't want to be thinking that. So it feels right that you kind of forget that this takes place in the Batman universe. Has a really high production value. Everything looks great editing, great soundtracks, good song choices. There was the very end of episode 1. They're playing 9 to 5 by Dolly Parton. I thought that was perfect for some reason, because he's like, Penguin's working, he's hustling.
He's working 9 to 5.
Yeah, and he's disposing of a body with a young kid that he kind of co-opted into his service, shanghaied into his service, and then they're just like hanging out, like smoking a cigar, and then 9 to 5 starts playing. I just thought that was a really good choice. I think that the thing that this season does the best is it walks a really fine tightrope of, it makes you walk rather a really fine tightrope of, do I like the main character or do I not like the main character? And it has to do that, because if you can't kind of root for the penguin, then this is going to be a really frustrating show for you because you're following the penguin.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and also Sophia, the Kristen Miliotti's character. It both of them,
Who does she play?
the daughter of Carmine Falcone,
Which is the drug guy?
the boss that died in the Batman.
The mob boss or
Yeah,
whatever?
the mob
Okay.
boss. So you are like teetering back and forth on both of them at times.
And so she's not a good person either.
She's really complicated. Like
Oh,
she
okay.
she she basically got screwed over by her dad. Her dad pinned all of his crimes on her,
Oh my gosh.
basically, when she started asking questions about them. And then he had her committed to
An institution.
Arkham Asylum, and then she gets out and she's messed up because of her experiences in Arkham Asylum, and she decides, well, they think I'm a monster, so that's exactly what I'm going to be. So it's interesting. And you're like, especially with the penguin, you're like, I don't know if I like this guy. Do I like this guy? I don't know if I like this guy. This show does it better than I think any other show I've watched, including Breaking Bad. Because I hated Walter from by the end of season 1.
Oh.
I was like, no, I don't like Walter. I just don't.
That's pretty fast, isn't it?
Yeah. Um. Anyways, yeah, it's good. It's really good. Are there some problems with it? Yes, I think there are. I don't think as like a gangster show it does anything new or groundbreaking besides, walking that tightrope. Besides that, I don't think it does anything particularly special compared to other gangster shows. It's just, if you really like the Batman universe, you're going to be super happy with this because it's a competent gangster show. Also, from what I know about the American Mafia, which I know just by listening to some former mafia members on, like, give talks and talk about their experiences.
Yeah, what's that guy's name?
Shoot,
Michael?
Michael Francis. So Penguin becomes a captain in the Falcone crime family. That would not be possible in the real American Mafia because you have to be Italian in order to reach any leadership position. Like,
Even in America?
yeah.
Oh.
Like you can be an associate of the mafia and not be an Italian, but you're not in the mafia. They call it being a made man, a made member.
Mm. So you're like a contractor almost in a.
Yeah. You can only get made if you are Italian descent, and I think it has to be on your father's side that you're Italian descent. So the rules are kind of strict about that. And Sophia even mentions during the show that you're not even made. You're not even a made guy. Oz is the penguin, and so that would not happen in the real world. Also, the American mafia does not deal drugs, from what I know. Maybe they do now, but at least from all the experiences I've heard from Michael Francis, like one of the things that could get you killed automatically in the mafia is if you dealt drugs. If you did anything with drugs, you were killed by your own organization.
So what do they do? I
They,
know it's
they did other stuff. They
like
did
the union stuff.
they did booze. They infiltrated unions. Just any extortion, you know, protection money, like that kind of thing.
Mm.
They didn't want to do drugs because too much heat, lots and lots of money brings lots and lots of attention.
Yeah.
And also that world, I mean, just look at Mexico. It's crazy being in that
Yeah.
world, like people shooting each other. And I think it all just boils down to the amounts of money that are involved in that trade. Like people are willing to do anything.
What was that movie we watched about the mafia and like where Rico cases, like how they came up with Rico or whatever?
Was it the documentary?
Is that what it
The
was?
docuseries.
What was it called?
Fear City. Look up Fear City. That,
Oh wait, yeah, 2020.
yeah, I think that was
Okay.
it. So there's some inaccuracies with this, but overall it's really solid, I'd say. If I had to score it, I'd probably give it I don't remember what I gave Shogun. I enjoyed this more than Shogun, I'll admit. It's just a little more up my alley, I think. I'll give this a 9. It's really good. It's really solid. I'll give it a 9 waddly Colin Farrells out of 10
I just looked this up. Apparently, it took Colin Farrell 3 hours
every day.
every day for the bald cap, adding cheeks, earlobes, chin, nose, upper lip, then adding eyebrows and hair. And then at the end of the day, it took 40 minutes to remove everything.
Dang.
And it says Colin Farrell described the process as like being reborn.
I bet it took even longer than 3 hours the first time.
Oh yeah, I'm
They,
sure they had to practice and all
yeah.
that but 3 hours.
Yeah, he's unrecognizable. And his voice and the way he walks and he looks a lot bigger, obviously.
It says Farrell said he felt like a canvas during the makeup process and that he and the makeup team would have fun in the trailer while listening to music and eating donuts.
Did he gain the weight or did they put him in a fat suit?
I'm sure they put him in a fat suit.
A pahat suit?
Yeah, a fat suit. With a PH.
Yeah, because it was fat.
Yeah.
Um, so what I said before about walking the fine line between liking the penguin and not liking the penguin, at the end of the series, there the reason I wrote "You're a rat bastard, Charlie Brown" is because the penguin is a fucking rat bastard.
Is this spoilers?
Yeah, this is spoilers. By the end of the season, you're like, oh no, this guy's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
This guy's a bad dude. Do you want to hear what he did?
You never gave Parents Guide.
Oh, not for kids at all. There's lots of language. There's violence, graphic violence, sexy time. Not anything that I can remember. There's some sexual themes, I guess. Yeah, for sure. There's sexual themes. I don't think they ever show anything though.
Okay.
But yeah, um, themes of violence against women as well. It's it's heavy. But when Oz was a kid, he really wanted attention from his mom. I don't think it's an Oedipus thing. I think he just really needs the validation.
Did he feel neglected or?
But he wasn't though, because they flash back a couple of times, and he had a loving relationship with his mother, and his mother had a loving relationship with her other sons. There's two other sons, two brothers, and one day she's trying to get some work done. Oz won't leave her alone. She's like, "You guys just go out and play, and come back in the evening." And they go out and they're playing flashlight tag in the sewers, and his two brothers say, "Okay, Oz, you're it." And then they run, and Oz has a limp. He's got a club foot, so he can't really get around super easily. And they climb down a storm drain or like another tunnel within the sewers, and he tries to go down there and he can't because of his club foot, because he can hear their voices and they're kind of making fun of him. And he's like, "Screw you guys, you know I can't go down there. Have fun getting out." And then he closes the door.
Whoa.
And locks it.
Whoa.
And goes home. And then it starts pouring. There's a storm. His brother's drowning there.
Oh my gosh.
And he knows that they're drowning in there. And he doesn't say anything
How
to
old
his
is
mom.
he?
He's like 12, 10,
Oh
10,
my
12.
goodness.
So he killed his brothers when he was young, just so he could have mom all to himself, basically. Another thing he does, he befriends this kid named Victor at the beginning. This is the kid, he catches Victor trying to steal his rims, and basically he has Victor become his right-hand man, and they have a very like awesome relationship throughout the series of just sort of needing each other and like becoming a sort of family almost. And Oz is really nice to Victor, and Victor has a stutter, so he kind of sees a kindred spirit in him. They're both disabled in some way. So they become very close. And then at the end, when Oz has come out on top and he's won everything, he kills Victor because he's like, "I love you, kid, but damn, if love doesn't make you weak, so you can't come with me where I'm going." So he chokes him,
Jeez.
strangles him, kills him. And you know, after the brothers, after that, you're like, oh my gosh, Penguin sucks.
Yeah.
And then that's not all. That's
Oh
not
my
all.
goodness.
He's the one that basically tipped Carmine Falcone off to the fact that his daughter was looking into him a little bit for potentially killing these women. And Carmine gets Sophia locked up in Arkham. So Oz didn't know that that would happen, but he's the reason that she gets locked up into Arkham.
Okay.
At the end of the series, Oz has beaten her, and you
Physically or just
no,
like
you
in the
know, come
game?
out on top. And you think he's going to kill her. He drives her out to this secluded spot, has a gun to her head, doesn't shoot her, gets her thrown back into Arkham.
Jeez.
And then this is the last thing that happens in the show. Um, his mom is suffering from dementia, I think, Alzheimer's, one of those, or maybe both. And she makes Oz promise her that he'll kill her before she becomes a vegetable. She doesn't want to become a vegetable. And her thing was always that she wanted to live in a penthouse, and Oz has been promising her that he's going to get her to that penthouse. The last scene of the movie is Oz in his penthouse. So he reached the stage, you know, where he did it. But his mom, along the way during the course of the season, she suffered like a massive stroke or something, and she is in a coma, basically in a comatose state. She's a vegetable.
Yeah.
He doesn't kill her. He keeps her in the top floor of the penthouse, staring out the window in a wheelchair.
That's horrible. But like, jeez, because he can't kill her.
No, he needs her there. He needs the validation.
Right.
It's totally selfish. Yeah, so by the end of the series, you don't like the Penguin. But isn't that amazing? Like a guy that bad, and I was teeter-tottering on liking him versus not liking him for the whole show. Really good. Okay. This is one of the movies I watched on the plane. It's called Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. It's an A24 horror comedy that came out, I think, in 2020. That sounds right to me. And basically, the premise of the movie is they are
22.
22. I don't know where they are because they're in the mountains, but there's this hurricane. So maybe they're in Washington.
They don't have
And
hurricanes in Washington.
do they not? There's this hurricane that's passing through. So they're going to this guy's house, Pete Davidson's character, his dad's house, very rich man. And they're gonna have a party, and they decide to play a game of werewolf. They call it Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. If you've never played that, it's the same as Mafia. Basically, someone is the werewolf or the mafia, and if they tap you on the shoulder, you die. Like, you turn all the lights off, you wander through the house. If someone taps you on the shoulder, you have to pretend you're dead.
That's not Mafia.
That is right.
No, Mafia is the one where you're trying to figure out who it is, and there's detectives and random people, and it's a discussion.
Yeah, that's what this is.
But you
Except
don't.
everybody's the detective, and there's only one werewolf or one mafia guy.
I feel like that's called something else. Sorry. Anyways.
So yeah, so the lights go off. You tap someone on the shoulder. They're supposed to pretend to be dead, and then you figure out who the killer is, and people actually start dying in the house.
Whoa.
And it's a horror comedy. They die in crazy ways, and it's a bunch of friends that are sort of friends on the surface, but they actually have deep issues with each other. All the issues start to come out as people are dying and people start to panic. People are swearing at each other and saying really mean things to each other. It's kind of funny.
The way that they die, is it like that? What's that movie? Two Names versus Evil or whatever?
Tucker and Dale.
Yeah.
Um, that would be spoiling to tell you yes or no.
Oh.
But
I just meant like, is that the vibe or no? Or you don't
not
have to answer
quite.
that, I guess.
No, not quite. I don't think this is as good as that. I'm just gonna go through my notes quickly. I hate the music. Huge yuck. It was like the most ratchet, nasty rap that you can ever hear in your life. Just like, it was just so, like, if you listen to that, If you listen to that stuff on your own time, why? It sucks. Anyway, there was some funny humor. Actually, I have my note here that says not quite as funny as something like Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Oh, interesting.
Or
That's
Ready
funny.
or Ready or Not.
That was the other one I was thinking of.
There is a twist at the end, like who's killing everybody, how is everybody dying. The reveal is actually pretty subversive, and I liked it. Not what I was expecting at all. And I thought it was pretty good. I will say though, they do act like a bunch of dumbass morons once the bodies start to fall, because they're pretty sure that someone is in the house killing them off. Yet every single time they decide it's a good idea to separate instead of just hunkering down into one spot, everybody back to back to back to back,
And arming
wait
themselves.
wait for the storm to pass so you can get service, and then call for help. The stupidest thing you could do is separate yourself in a big old mansion where you don't know what's happening. And they do that not once, not twice, at least 3 times.
Wow.
And it leads to deaths, right? So they act like a bunch of idiots. And the characters are also pretty insufferable. They're all kind of awful and just say annoying things, especially the main girl. She just bugs me. But, it's not bad. I just don't think it's great. I would give it I'd probably give it a 6. I'd give it a 6 bodies out of 10. Do you want to hear who the killer is?
Parents Guide?
Oh, not for kids. Lots of drug use, lots of language, there's violence, there is some suggestive themes as well.
Okay. Spoilers.
Yeah.
Is it Pete Davidson?
Yeah, the first one to die is Pete Davidson.
Oh, that's kind of sad.
Someone cuts his neck.
Ew.
And they find him and they're like, "What?" And then they think it's this one guy that did it who nobody really knows. He just kind of got invited by this girl that
Greg?
doesn't really know him.
Or
Yeah,
Connor?
it's Greg. They go find Greg, and Greg is like meditating in the gym because he's doing his workouts. They were kind of bullying him during the game,
Oh,
so he leaves.
poor Greg.
And they think that it was him because no one knows
Him or where
no one
he's
knows
been.
him, and they're like, "He's dead. You killed him." And someone comes at him with a knife,
oh my gosh.
and he takes the knife, and he's holding the knife now, and they're all like, oh, "He's the killer, and he's got a knife."
Oh my gosh.
And he's like, calm down. And he's like, he's trying to defend himself because a lot of these kids are coked out as well. And like, whatever. Someone hits him on the back of the head with a weight.
Holy shit.
And kills him.
Holy shit.
So that's how Greg dies. Let me see the thing because I got to remember how all these guys die. Okay. And then there's Emma. Emma dies because she falls down the stairs and like smashes her head against the bottom of the step or something. And nobody's sure if someone pushed her or not. So that's how she dies. At a certain point, Jordan, another character, gets a gun.
Where'd she find a gun?
So the gun belongs to Pete Davidson's dad. This is another thing that was kind of annoying because they were all together in a room and they're like, he has to have a gun. Rich people have guns. Rich people have guns, right? Where's the gun? And Sophie, the main character, is like, he doesn't own a gun. He may be an asshole, but his politics check out. And I was like, fuck off. Like, so stupid. Like, she's such a... She comes from a rich family, too, her character. So she's just like a pompous ass about everything. Anyway, turns out he actually does have a gun. And it like, that joke is kind of a callback because she finds the gun. She's like, I thought he didn't have a gun. Of course he has a gun. He's rich.
That's what Sophia says?
Yeah. And then Sophie, Jordan, Sophie, and Alice, B and Sophie are dating, by the way. B is a new addition to this little group, meeting everybody for the first time. But Alice and Jordan and Sophie are all kind of having a standoff. Nobody knows what's going on. Nobody knows how to trust each other. Alice ends up getting shot in the leg because she's a dumbass and tries to rush the person who's holding the gun.
Oh my gosh.
And then they all start fighting over the gun. And then Alice gets shot in the head.
Oh my gosh.
As the struggle ensues. And then all of a sudden it's Sophie and Jordan and B trying to get the gun. And Jordan has just gone like full psycho mode basically. and she's trying to kill Sophie and Orby. And so they push her off of the railing, and she falls and she dies. That's how she dies. And then they get service at the very end, and it's just B and Sophie left.
Mm-hmm.
And oh, there's one guy, by the way, that Max left early on in the party, and nobody knows where he is. And so everybody's like, is it Max? And then everybody else is like, no, it's not Max. Max wouldn't do that. We don't know who Max is as the viewer at all because we haven't even seen him. Anyway, it's morning. It's just B and Sophie left, and they find Pete Davidson's phone, and the service comes back on, and they open up the phone and they see that Pete Davidson was like playing with his dad's sword.
He has like a video of it or something.
Yeah, and he accidentally cuts himself in the neck.
Oh my god.
And that's how this all started. It was a complete accident, and nobody was killing anyone.
What?
So they all just go psycho and kill each other.
Hey, so what about Max?
Max comes back as they find the phone, and he's like, what happened? Because Pete Davidson's body is there. They're all covered in blood.
Oh
and
my
like,
gosh.
So I like the ending. I thought the ending was pretty funny. It was all an accident. But yeah, just too much of it I didn't really vibe with. The music and mostly the music and the way the characters were written I just wasn't a fan of. But yeah, it's pretty good. Like it's not bad. It's a positive. I'm not giving it a negative review. Worth watching, I'd say.
Okay. Let's see. I think we'll have another episode. Well, I think our next episode will be our end of year recap that will come out in the new year.
Oh,
I think.
cool. Okay.
So, again, like last year, I think we'll have it with our two friends, Camden and Liv, and we'll go over our favorite movies, TV show, video game, and book that we read this year.
I can't wait to tell you my favorite video game I read this year.
I said book that we read?
Yeah, I know.
You asshole.
But you put it all in a group and said read at the end.
Oh, I meant those had commas in between them and then book that we read. But, okay.
Right.
Okay. Well,
that was the one verb.
Sorry. We'll talk about our favorite movie that we watched.
They get it.
Our favorite TV show that we watched.
They get it.
Our favorite video game that we watched.
God damn it.
And a book.
That we read.
Right. Okay. Well, have a great week, everybody. Bye.